Hello everybody and welcome to a Heroes of the Shire deep dive. And in today's deep dive we're going to be looking at our warrior character. And let's just jump straight into it. The warrior, I mean, as we mentioned in our previous deep dives, before we look at a deep dive you really need to understand the warrior's kit, and I've had a little look through the cards, look through the spells and the spell mastery just to get a idea of how he plays. But if you haven't had chance to do that, I'll try and shortcut that for you. We have a quick look at most of these attacks. We've got strength, defense, strength up here. But long story short, he's predominantly a strength attack modifying character. So if you're going to pair him up in scenario mode or in arena teams, you're going to want to be adding some strength to this character. So you're going to want to be looking at characters like the runesmith and the bard and the huntress and the war drummer. Okay, less so intellect attack modifying characters such as the scholar, shaman. And when we look at the skill trees, the spell mastery, should I say, we've got stance expert down the left, which is his sort of self-sustainable stance, because he gains HP each time he swaps stance, and he's able to swap stance at instant speed, so to speak, when it becomes the target of attack. That just means he takes a lot less damage because he's always going to be in defense stance when he gets attacked. Which means he can, of course, just freely go into brawl and support and not have to worry quite so much. We've got ancient warfare down the middle, which is a DPS path. You can see brawl stance, but this does leave him quite vulnerable to attack. And then on the right hand side, we've got the armored defense. This is more the tank spec. There's a second way of getting counter attack. He's able to cast support spell stance and defense stances together. And then he gains an extra 10 HP whilst he's in defense stance. So not only does he gain his 5 base HP from going into defense stance, he now gains an extra 10. So he'll gain 15 temporary hit points basically when he is in defense stance. So it makes him a bit of a tank, a bit of a menace. And keeps him alive a little bit longer. Let's have some quick look at his base kit. We've got body slam. You can see here it doesn't do any damage, but it does add 2 attack modifiers. We've got a strength and a defense. Now, any spells that have more than 1 attack modifier are easier to be manipulated, because characters that can manipulate multiple stats, now body slam gets a whole lot better. Our cooldown 0 is a nice axe throw. We've got hold the line, which is massive defense, and then we've got intervention, which is like a 50% less damage for 1 attack. Battle cry, which works amazing with all eyes on me. We'll talk about that in a moment. We've got command in, shout, and bleed it out, and then wind fury. Wind fury is possibly the strongest attack spell we have in game, but it's not like a piercing shot or double shot with the huntress. It's not a Hulk smash. It does require quite a bit of setting up, because just off the bat it doesn't do an awful lot of damage. So if we jump into brawl stance, we're going to gain +2 strength, which would put us at a base of 5 and 2, which is 7. Then the attack does 1, so it'll be 8 damage that hits 3 times. If we just take like the lowest defensive character, we'll just say 4, for example, because the illusionist is kind of one of his own. That if we're going to hit for 8 with a defense of 4, that's only 4 damage per hit, which is only 12 damage, and then you've got to receive 3 on top of that. So if we take 3 from the 12, you're only gaining sort of a 9 HP difference, which is okay, but that's just very sort of mediocre. That's sort of mid-range. But to really abuse this wind fury, if we can give him another 5 strength, and remember, when that hits for 3 times, that 5 strength now is going to feel more like 15. So we need to look at ways of saving the wind fury until we've got a good strength stat and then we hit really hard. Charge, on the other hand, is a Hulk Smash spell. It's knockback, which is effectively 4 undefendable damage. So, it's kind of like 9 base damage, so to speak, plus your 5, plus your 2 from a brawl. So what did we just say there? 9 and 6. It's kind of like a good solid 15 damage most times you hit. So that's the warrior in a nutshell. We've got some drenched over here on an AoE, which is nice. We've got some way of gaining HP in defensive stance. You want to be using defense hold as often as possible, as long as you've lost enough HP to benefit from it. And then you've got dig deep, which is really nice as well, because you gain 4 HP, you lacerate your enemy, which is effectively 6 undefendable damage. So if they lose 6 and you gain 4, that's a nice little swing, and then they're wounded for 3 turns as well. And the benefit of being in support stance is you'll probably be going earlier for the next round. Okay. So then let's look more at these spell masteries and see who we're going to want to be pairing the warrior with. How do we take advantage of this kit? Before we look at that, then let's look at All Eyes on Me. Whilst the dice on this spell, all positive temporary buffs are increased by a value of 2. So on our first turn, if we go All Eyes on Me, which isn't a huge swing in tempo, you're going to be losing a lot of tempo, but if your opponents don't confuse you and allow you to set up, then next turn, if you go Battle Cry, now you're gaining +1, but all buffs are increased by +2. So it'd be +3 strength, +3 intellect, +3 defense, +3 agility. Now that is very strong. Not only that, then your allies could buff you at the same time. And if you're playing with like the Bard who cheers, they're all +1s again. They'd all be +3s. Getting +6 all stats on turn 2 is extremely strong by just sacrificing your first turn, dropping that dice on All Eyes on Me. So, we've sort of got our MVP spells. We've got All Eyes on Me, Wind Fury, and Hold the Line. These are our sort of 3 biggest spells. If we have a look then at this stance here, the stance expert, as I previously mentioned, gaining the HP and always being in defense stance is nice because you don't have to think quite so much about your plays where you want to jump into brawl stance, but you don't want to leave yourself vulnerable with only like 3 or 4 defense. You don't have to worry, because when you get attacked, you can just jump into defense stance again, and of course jumping into defense stance will grant you 1 HP again, so it's really, really nice there. But you do have self-defense when you're in defense stance here, so it gives you strength and counter-attack. Now remember that strength buff, if you've got a dice on All Eyes on Me, you'd be granting yourself +3 strength and counter-attack for 3 turns, which kind of means people aren't going to want to attack you, not when you're not when you've got +3 strength. So it'd put you at base 8 +3, that's 11 damage on a counter-attack hit. And then, of course, once you get attacked, you can then, of course, swap into your brawl stance to get another 2 as well. So, you're going to be looking at 13 damage on the counter-attack, which is extremely strong. That might be quite off-putting for your opponents. Hammer Smash is great for scenario mode, because if you can see here, most of the warriors' damage spells are a single target. He doesn't have many AoEs. He's got like Hammer Smash here, he's got Bloodlust there, Weaken Armor there, but it's hard to get all of them early on, so you kind of want to go get one of them. So Hammer Smash is literally what it says. It's just an AoE Hammer Smash. And we've got Battle Flag. Now Battle Flag requires a little bit of setting up again. Your next attack allows you to mobilize an enemy spell for 3 turns. You can change stance and cast an attack spell now. You need to know your opponent's boards, and you want to save that to immobilize a spell to stop an enemy using it. So the stance expert really is the easiest to play. It's the one that you can go with any other character really, as long as they can help buff your strength. you don't care quite so much. Then we've got Ancient Warfare on the other hand. Ancient Warfare is very fragile. It turns the warrior more into a berserker, or into a fighter, where he's going to need some protection, because if you want him to continue pumping out high damage, dual wielding, bloodlust, spear throw, each time he casts spear throw he gains a semi-permanent strength. He gains an extra 2 strength when in brawl stance. He is a DPS powerhouse as an Ancient Warfare warrior, but he's got to need protection, because otherwise, if your opponents just nuke him down, he can die in like 2 to 3 turns quite easy, because when he's in brawl stance, he's always going to have 4 defense. And you can see, here, none of these are all aggressive attack spells. None of them are going to be helping healing him. And if he's always going to be attacking, where's he gaining his HP from? Where's he getting his high defense from? He can die quite quickly. So you're going to want to pair him up with other characters, like the War Drummer, for example. The War Drummer is a perfect ally. For the warrior, you've got spells like War Formation, which grants strength and defense. So not only can it keep him going with his high damage, it can also buff his defense at the same time. And again, if we've got a dice on All Eyes on Me, these values are going to be increased by 2. So War Formation will give you +4 strength. It will give you +4 defense and energize. Yes, it will also give you -4 agility, but that is absolutely fine when you've got 4 defense out of it. What else have we got with War Drummer? Going down the DPS path, we've got Revamp, which means that we can use our hero ability with the War Drummer each turn. So he's beating on the drums, even if it's just for 1 beat. He's basically paying 1 HP, I think, from memory, granting 1 strength for 3 turns, 1 strength for 2 turns, which would be changed to 3 turns with the Revamp, and the Battle Drumming to reduce the HP, so that's really nice. The War Drummer could also paralyze and increase defense, which is great. War Drummer in his base kit could also increase defense to help keep the DPS warrior going. So that's one avenue to look at with the War Drummer. Another one to look at is the Runesmith. The Runesmith can place Taunt on himself if he goes down the bodyguard path. Anytime he can buff defense to all allies anytime he gains a defense buff. During his turn, if he's equipped with a power rune, and he can grant himself a defense buff every turn, and then that defense buff on himself gets spread to all his allies with damage prevention. Anytime allies, so when he casts support spells, he passes out strength, which is really nice. I mean, he passes strength and intellect, but the strength is extremely nice with the warrior because he can benefit from it with all these attack modifiers. And again, if he's got a cooldown dice on All Eyes on Me, this is going to be +3 strength for 2 turns every time the Runesmith casts a support spell, which is quite frankly ridiculous. Of course, you've got the Rune of Speed, which again is 1 agility every time, which is good because if you're going to be in the DPS path, you want to be killing your opponents first before they kill you. So agility is really important, getting that turn in before your enemies. And then let's have a quick look at this last path over here. What have we got? We've got Armored Defense. So this one is going to be keeping us alive a little bit longer, but we're going to need some damage output from either our allies or from ourselves with our setting up plays. This slows us down here and gives us counter-attack, and then the counter-attack spell deals extra damage again. Similar to the self-defense. Now, it's a really nice build if you want to really focus on the counter-attack and let that do most of your damage, especially in the scenario mode, because it is a ranged spell. You can go 3 down here in retaliation, you can go 2 down there in self-defense, so you can always have counter-attack up. You've got counter-attack here for 3 turns, and then you've got counter-attack here for 3 turns. As long as you've got high enough defense, you could then place Taunt on yourself as well, full well knowing that you also have the ability to grant protection to yourself for 1 turn. Now, I know you can't cast both of these simultaneously, but usually, however, you can here, because as Battle Guardian, you can cast your support spells whilst you're in defense stance. So we go into defense stance, preparing to use intervention, place taunt on ourselves, and then we can still cast this because we're in defensive stance when we become the target and attack. We've got this to strip defense, which just helps us get a little bit of our damage through. But you know, these builds are gonna need somebody like the Bard. We're looking at Flawless Vocals over here, which all positive buff durations increase to 3 turns. So once we get the cooldown dice on All Eyes on Me and we start, you know, something like a battle cry, when these +3 buffs are close to falling off us, if the Bard comes in with some Flawless Vocals, she can target us and push all our positive buff durations back to 3 turns. Not only that, she also has Soothing Voice, which she can increase the value, if I remember from rightly, of some of those buffs as well, which is extremely nice. And you know, the Bard's got possibly the strongest support spell in the game, Echo. Now I know lots of people create entire builds around an Echo because that's how powerful it is. It allows a player to repeat the previous spell cast. So if we were to go back to like our DPS path, for example, and to cast Spear Throw, that grants us +1 strength, semi-permanent, please note. So the longer a battle goes on, the stronger the DPS warrior gets. You know, turn 1, if we go into Spear Throw, gain a +1 permanent, semi-permanent strength into an Echo, which then will give us another semi-permanent. So that means we've got 2 semi-permanent strength. Then when we jump into this Brawl stance, we gain an additional 2 strength, plus the 2 strength from the card. So we're going to be netting an extra 6 strength, plus the base at 5. We're going to be having 11 strength every time we jump into Brawl stance, meaning some of these spells are going to hit really, really hard. Okay, and that increased strength value makes up for your opponent's high defense stat. That is effectively it, I think, with the warrior. The warrior is not quite as difficult to play as the previous character we just did a deep dive on, which was the Witch Doctor. All of these builds are, you know, they work very well with strength-based heroes and defense-based heroes. He does have a body slam over here. This can be your strongest spell if you're running heroes that can buff both strength and defense, simply because the cooldown's 3. Whereas Charge and Wind Fury, you know, you've got 5s and 6s. So with 8 heroes to reduce those cooldown dice, you're going to be waiting quite a while to get these spells back. Whereas a body slam on a 3 is really nice because it comes back, you know, you get 2 body slams by the time you get 1 Wind Fury, and there's no repercussion, you don't have to lose any health either. And again, that puts you in defense stance, which puts your defense at 7, which again means you take a lot less damage. When you're in Wind Fury, you're in Brawl, you're only going to have 4 defense. So, you know, there's some big differences there, but long story short, all of these paths are really good. They're quite different. Like I said, you've got the counter-attack mix and match build, you've got the DPS down in the middle, you've got the self-sustainable healer, and then you've got the sort of the semi-tank over here as well, depending on your play style and which one of those you would prefer. We didn't look too much about these spells here, but these two are predominantly just gaining a bit of health and applying some debuffs. And Make 'em Sweat is fantastic if you have lots of enemies, because the drench condition can be very good. Make 'em Sweat's one of those, though, that you probably want to wait and hold off, because it's an area of attack spell. It hits multiple enemies, should I say, and as the warrior doesn't have many of those, you might want to hold that off, especially when it's on a big cooldown 6 as well. So thank you very much, guys, for listening to me rambling on about the warrior. I hope you were inspired, should I say, and learned a little bit about the warrior if you didn't already know that, and I hope you enjoy playing him or continue to enjoy playing him. But thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye bye for now.